I want to talk about Chat GPT.
I am quite alarmed. Not only that this thing exists, but I don't think we're ready for it.
Joe Rogan is well known for discussing every single topic under the sun on his podcast. The UFC commentator and pundit recently sat down with American author Bret Weinstein to talk about the latest developments in artificial intelligence, mainly ChatGPT.
Right? In the case of GPT chat, I think some of the artificial intelligence existential risk folks would tell you that one of the dangers is that the chat AI could convince you to do its bidding, right? As you said, when you were looking at this, it felt like a person, right? And the point is, something that feels like a person can play on your emotions, right? Can that be used to cause a fail-safe to be removed? Maybe.
Weinstein spoke about the effects the AI software being open to the internet could have, and also how dangerous it is, but I have to say, I am quite alarmed, not only that this thing exists, but I don't think we're ready for it. And I don't think we're ready for it in a couple different ways.
Well, I think what scares people is something that seems to be a person, but doesn't have any emotion, doesn't have any soul. It's not us, but it behaves exactly as us. And then you can put it in a physical entity.
It can be awful, but it is often surprisingly good at answering questions you might have about how to do things. One of the great triumphs of it is that coders are now asking it to solve coding problems, and it will actually write code that is functional.
Another point the author put across to Joe Rogan is that the AI could generate a conscience in the same way a toddler does during the developmental stages. Weinstein believes we are not ready for artificial intelligence yet because we do not know enough about it and its potential.
That this is a mindless entity that doesn't know what it's doing. It's just striving to do it better.
Yes.
The tactics that work will register as, oh, you did it right. So to the extent that you have those vulnerabilities in you and it finds them and that works, then the point is reinforcement. Right?
It scares us because it's not us, but it is us.
Well,
because it's behaving exactly like us, but it doesn't have all the things that make a person a person. It doesn't have the biological vulnerabilities. It doesn't have all these different things that we like to think of. The soul, whatever that means.
But I'm worried about what could be generated. And I know that it will sound to a lot of people, especially technological people, like a biologist out of his depth.
Exhibiting all of the behavior characteristics of a person. Like one of the most terrifying that's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love that movie. One of my favorite movies of all time was when that guy who was brought in to sort of run some tests on these artificial intelligence creations and determine whether or not they pass as human. What is that test called again? The
Turing test?
Turing test.
Yeah.
And he is in love with this woman. She's manipulated him to the point where he's aided her in her escape, and then she leaves him in that room with the bulletproof glass, and he's pounding on the glass, and she walks away with not a thought at all about him. The ultimate example of the worst case scenario of where this can go, where you have something that behaves exactly like a human being and knows how to play upon your sexual urges, your emotional desires, all of those different things that she plays upon, and then she just walks away from him and leaves him to starve to death in this fucking bulletproof room.
And it's done very well because it manipulates you passively in your seat.
Yes.
Right, as it manipulates this character on the screen. And so you are betrayed too.
Yes.
In this. You want to believe that it's emotional, and it has none of that.